All right, it's that time of year again for the homemade swamp cooler. This end up. All right, I made this last year to prevent the house from overheating in the middle of the summer, because this thing, its insulation is pretty non-existent. So it gets hella cold in the winter and pretty warm in the summer. The house just traps the heat. Anyway, I made a swamp cooler. Ta-da! Some of you have probably already seen this. For those of you who haven't, this is a Patio Bistro electric grill control knob. It's got an interesting way it operates in that it's like when this was part of a patio grill, you would turn it on and it would heat the element and bring everything up to temp, and then it would sort of like slowly pulse the power to the element, maintaining more of like a heat penetration, I guess. I don't know why the fuck they did that, actually. Maybe it's to regulate the temperature a little better and make it more closer to actually like cooking over a fire. Anyway, that controls the sump pump that I have down on the bottom of this. The sump pump is powered, it takes power from this computer power supply, which I cannibalized to provide like I think 3 volts, 5 volts, and 12 volts. So this switch right here makes use of the 3 volts, 5 volts, and 12 volts to power the the squirrel cage blower fan that's in this, which I pulled out of I think a Subaru Forester at one point. But that squirrel cage type fan is like the same style of fan that would traditionally be in a swamp cooler, because they move a massive amount of air and can force it through a tube, whereas like a box fan will move a lot of air, but it can't force anything through anything very well. So this knob here, first setting is low, 3 volts. Second setting is medium, 5 volts. Fourth setting is a dead spot, because this is actually the fan switch from the Subaru thing, and I'm not using the original power source or controller. So the last spot is like max chooch, baby. So you turn this on, and that gets the air circulating through the whole thing. It gets sucked in to these tubes around here, all the air does. And these are 90-degree elbows that point down and at the same kind of angle towards the water. The water in this thing gets filled up almost to this line, just under this line, right? And so when the air gets sucked in, it's immediately directed down towards the surface of the water, which is also spinning because the sump pump pumps the water up through this tube right here. And it comes up here and then hits a Y. This is the bypass valve. Hard to see. This lower switch is the bypass valve that runs the water back down past the sprayer and back into the reservoir. And the reason why I have a whole bypass valve here is so that I don't cause the pump to struggle to pressurize this system. There will always be an outlet back into the system. And that return hose is actually oriented so that the flow of water inside, when it's circulating back in the barrel, is counter to the airflow, which the airflow is going this way, the water's going this way. Now, when the sump pump pumps the water up through this valve assembly here, which this also allows you, these two valves allow you to regulate the pressure that is at the spray nozzle on the inside, which comes up and around from behind, pokes in here, goes through a spiral, not a very twisty spiral, but about one turn all the way around, with a bunch of holes drilled into it, so water sprays friggin' everywhere. And then I have a 90-degree hose fitting on a cross member that's in the middle that points down and has a wide shower head type spray that soaks all the substrate that I have put inside of this barrel. Right here, this little black bit is one of the attachment points for the grate that goes in here that holds the swamp cooler substrate material. And I have used like some of the traditional synthetic stuff that you find at like the hardware store to put in this thing. But I've also made like a big block, right? It's kind of like, it fits inside the barrel, but it's like about 8 inches tall, and it's essentially a shit ton of cardboard triangles hot glued together. And I hot glued across all of the tops so that it doesn't disintegrate from the water hitting it from the top. And that's sitting on the like the traditional blue substrate for the swamp cooler, the medium for it. And on top of that is more. So water comes in, sprays everywhere, all down this thing, and the air coming in has to go down and then up through everything that is wet before it goes and gets blown into the house right here. Now, I told you in the beginning about this pump. It does a weird thing, like it'll pulse, so it's not constantly on after a little while. Right now, I just turned it on and it's constantly running. This is at 5, and that'll run solid for maybe like an hour, and then it'll do a little pulsy thing and then shut off. So if you forget this is on, it will automatically shut the water pump off, which is the thing that probably draws the most power out of this whole setup. Although it does draw little enough power that I can run it on a fairly small inverter and a battery. I think that the genius part about using this Patio Bistro controller is that the water flow stops at some point, right? And then everything that was wet really actually has to dry out. And it's during that period where there's no water flow and a lot of evaporation that the temperature in here really drops. Like, it's pretty cool anyway, but like that's when like the efficiency part of this really kicks in. This was a proof of concept, an idea, and it fucking worked. I fucking love it. I mean, of course, the swamp cooler isn't very complicated, but I mean, this just looks complicated because it's all handmade. This right here is just so that, like, if I'm going to run an extension cord and plug something in, well, fuck, why not have another plug to still attach things to? And this is a 30 amp capable wiring, and that's tied directly into the power source that feeds the computer power supply. And this is where the fan plugs in, right here, the 12 volt fan. And how I remember which way this goes is that one screw always goes where the ground hole is. But that's it. Like, the only improvements I really need to make on this thing is add a rubber skirt around this edge that kind of just drapes itself over this, so that if it rains, it just goes over and doesn't go into my electronics. But also, inside of this, I used hot melt adhesive and reinforced every piece of electronic gadgetry inside. And so, like, it should be pretty vibration resistant. Like, I shouldn't get any solder connections cracking from vibration because everything is now supported. And I have also changed the fan inside this. There is a cooling fan in here so that this is always getting cool. It only draws, I don't know, like maybe 3 volts. So it's just enough to promote airflow. As you can hear now, the water pump started doing the pulse thing, which is kind of cool. I like it. It's unique, it's quirky, it's weird. It looks like something out of a mad scientist laboratory because it, kind of is. But this thing blows like a motherfucker. Check this out. do I have something I can hold in the wind? A towel. Here we go.